Hey guys, it's Farra from Oasis Yoga in Koh Lanta, Thailand. And today I'll be taking you through an all-around Yin Yoga practice, which means we'll come into our poses and we'll stay there for several minutes. So it's going to be very important that you find your place in the pose. Feel free to explore until you get it. It's also really important that you understand pain is not meant to be a part of this practice. If at any point what you're feeling is a dangerous or painful feeling, please leave the pose or modify it until that feeling goes away. Pillows and props are your friend in Yin Yoga. So if you don't have something like I have or a yoga bolster, just go to the bed, pull off the pillows and the blankets, and we'll make it work. What I show you with these today is going to just be a suggestion. Essentially, a part of Yin Yoga is you finding how you use the props and finding your pose so that it's suitable for you. If we stay in poses for several minutes, at times it will be reasonable that you might feel a little discomfort. A lot of times we can remove that with the props, and sometimes we just choose a bit of temporary discomfort for the greater well-being of your body. If at any point it's pain, please leave the pose. All right. So let's get started. Just coming to a comfortable seated position. Any way that you can sit comfortable is fine. Rest your hands, sit up a little bit straighter, and for a little while, let's just close the eyes. Let's begin to come into this present moment by allowing the thoughts that were previously keeping us busy to be replaced by awareness to the sensations in the body. I'm not asking you to label or to judge anything. I'm just saying become aware of your feet. Notice your hands. Noticing the shoulders and even the soft skin of your face. Throughout this practice, see if you can continue to be non-judgmentally aware of the sensations in your body. And as always, we have the breath to keep us in this present moment. You just need to watch it. And as you breathe in and out from your nose, breathe so fully, so deeply, and calmly that it requires you to pay attention to your breath. Try your best to stay in this calm and relaxed state as we softly open the eyes. We'll begin to move into the first pose. We'll start off with child's pose. You'll come forward onto your hands and to your knees. If necessary, you could put a pillow between the knees, and you could also put a pillow underneath the bum. Otherwise, resting your bum back towards the heels of your feet. And as we exhale, we'll lower down into the pose of child's, and we'll stay there for a while. So the first few breaths of every pose, you might need to wiggle or move a little bit. Take a little time to listen to the body and see what adjustments need to be made, and please allow that to happen. And when you find your place in a pose, accept that that's where we'll be for a while. Maybe just close your eyes and enjoy being with your breath. All right, that's our time in this pose, so let's start to slowly come up from here. You're going to take your time as you're moving in and out of the poses. We'll just lift up onto the hands and to the knees. If the back of the legs would like a stretch, feel free to do that. Let's go into just a little bit of cat and cow. Every time you inhale, the belly will go down, chin and tailbone rise up. And on the exhale, chin and tailbone are under. Push your upper back as high as it'll go. Just do this for a few more breaths. All right, from here we're going to go into laying down on the belly. So you just stretch the legs out back behind you. And as you lay down, you're going to be placing the elbows underneath your shoulders. So have a look at it for a moment. And you may need to take your elbows just about 3 centimeters further forward. After a lot of practice, I've decided that I prefer to have a pillow underneath my ribs. It's completely optional. You'll be looking forward and down so that your neck will feel long in this pose, and the shoulders are sliding down away from the ears. If it's difficult for you to release tension in your neck, you could use a pillow to rest the forehead on. Again, everything with the pillows today is just optional. So we find ourselves into Sphinx pose. And again, we'll stay here for a while. So allow yourself to just close the eyes, follow the breath, and be aware of the sensations in the body. So take any last adjustments that you need to until you can determine that you've found your place in the pose. And it will be both the goal and the challenge of Yin Yoga to try to get very still. Once you find your place, accept that that's where you'll be for a while. Hold the pose, but never hold your breath. It's a good time to check to make sure your shoulders are still sliding down your back and you're not tensing the facial muscles or jaw. You do have the freedom to leave a pose early anytime you need to. Otherwise, you remind yourself that it is very, very temporary. And take a few more deep breaths. You're going to begin to leave this pose nice and slowly. If you have a pillow under your chest, just remove it. You're going to take your elbows, turn them to the left and to the right, and then just gently lay yourself down, looking over towards the left side. Place your arms wherever they're comfortable. Just take a little pause. It might help you to relax your back a little bit if you slide your left knee along the floor and up close to your armpit. Let's just take a little rest. Go ahead and lift your upper body now and slide your right arm, that should be the opposite one from your knee. Slide it underneath your body with the palm of your hand turned up. Now when you lay your head down, if your head feels uneven, you could put a thin pillow underneath your head. Try not to make your head much higher. We'd like a straight spine as we set up for a spinal twist. Okay? So from here, I'll place my left hand over on top of my right. And take a deep breath in. Then I'll exhale to reach this hand up and over, coming into a twist. I could put this hand on my ribs and just let my elbow be very heavy. I could extend the arm out further. Find a place that feels suitable for you. From here, you'll begin to either look up or maybe even in the opposite direction as your knee. Should feel like a nice twist in the upper back. We'll stay here for about 3 minutes. You just take notice that there's no vulnerability in the left shoulder joint. If there is, you can move your arm a little bit closer to the body, or maybe put a pillow under your shoulder. Become aware of how you can move your breath throughout the pose. Now, just as slowly as we came in, we'll begin to come out of the pose, checking that your left shoulder feels safe and protected. So maybe bring your arm in closer to your body. You'll just roll back over until you're laying on your side for a moment. I'm going to straighten out both of my legs. I'll lift myself up so that I can just come to laying on the belly again, and this time I'll look in the opposite direction. You'll start to slowly slide your right knee along the floor and bring it up towards the armpit. You'll lift your upper body, and this time the left arm will go underneath you with the palm up. If the pillow helps to keep your spine in one long line, go ahead and use it. Okay, twisting the same thing on the other side. We'll put the right hand on top of the left. And as we exhale, we'll open into the twist, maybe finding our ribs with the hand and having a heavy elbow. Or possibly extending the arm out farther. Every move you make with that right arm will have an effect. So feel free to take the first few breaths to explore, to find your pose. You'll look up or you'll look away from your knee. And again, let's breathe here for about 3 minutes. Anytime you lose the attention in a pose, you just bring it back to your breath. Bring it back to the sensations in the body. Begin to ease out nice and slowly, really protecting the right shoulder first. Just bringing that around so that you can rest on this side. You'll straighten out the leg. Lift yourself back up to the center. And then again, let's just lay down and just take a little break for a moment. So we'll come into one more position from laying down on the belly. This will be a seal pose, and we'll hold it quite a bit less than we held the first back bend. So you'll have your arms out in front of you. You want them pretty wide, at least as wide as your mat. From here, I'm going to be straightening my arms and using them like posts. I'll turn my fingers out towards the left and the right, and just allow my shoulders to slide down the back. Okay? If you look straight forward, your neck should feel long, and we'll spend about 2 minutes in this pose. I like to imagine that I'm just breathing up and down the length of my spine in this position. And just really, really slowly begin to spin the elbows out to the left and to the right. Just lay down and look to one direction. It can feel good to bring your arms by your legs or wherever they're comfortable. Just take a pause. So it should feel pretty nice to come into child's pose after that. Just bringing your hands by your chest, pushing yourself back to that same position that we started in. Should feel nice to take a little bit of movement now. So let's lift up into down dog. Feel free to really kind of shake and wiggle and move this around a little bit. Don't be too concerned with the position of down dog. It's just a transition to take us into our next pose. If you have any knee issues or injuries in the next pose, or maybe just the hips are kind of tight today, you can feel free to lay down on your back and take the alternative position. Yeah? Otherwise, we'll be moving into our swan pose. So you'll be sliding your right knee forward between your hands. Okay? Look back at the left leg, get it long and straight, and you'll be flexing this foot a little. Okay? A lot of people will appreciate having a pillow underneath the right side so that you can try to have your hips feeling level. Okay? You might also like some pillows for your elbows or your chest to rest on. Okay? You'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, you'll go forward and down into this position, and we'll be here for several minutes. So please take a moment, find your place in the pose. If there's any issue with your knee, go ahead and lay down on your back and take the alternative position. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves into a resting swan. So it's very possible that you'll feel a lot of sensation in this pose, so long as it's not a dangerous burning feeling in the knee. It's most likely just a long, deep stretch. Please see if you can stay calm and relaxed as you soften your jaw, soften your shoulders, and continue to breathe deeply. We'll spend the last minute here in this pose. Again, you can feel free to leave early. Otherwise, focusing on your exhales for a bit and just seeing if it's possible to soften, to let go, to relax some of the tension every time you exhale. Begin to really slowly ease back up onto your hands. Just space your hands out for another down dog, which hopefully feels good. If it doesn't, take any pose that feels good to you. Ooh. And move and shake that out, wiggle that out a little bit. Absolutely quite sensational to hold a hip opening position for that length of time. So it's very possible that that could work for you on one side, but maybe because of a knee issue or injury on the other side, you need to lay down onto your back. And again, take that alternative pose, just crossing the ankle over the knee as you lay down. Bring the leg in until you feel it. Okay, otherwise, we'll be going to pigeon pose. Well, it's pigeon in our active forms of yoga, but in yin yoga, we call it swan. So you'll slide your knee forward. We give the poses different names in yin yoga so that you consider them a bit differently. Okay, so make it a little bit more passive, possibly slipping a pillow underneath this side. Okay, maybe pillows for out in front. And again, just nice and slowly, you'll ease down into this pose and we'll stay. So find your place. Should feel nice to take a little bit of movement now. So let's lift up into down dog. Feel free to really kind of shake and wiggle and move this around a little bit. Don't be too concerned with the position of down dog. It's just a transition to take us into our next pose. If you have any knee issues or injuries in the next pose, or maybe just the hips are kind of tight today, you can feel free to lay down on your back and take the alternative position. Yeah? Otherwise, we'll be moving into our swan pose. So you'll be sliding your right knee forward between your hands. Okay? Look back at the left leg, get it long and straight, and you'll be flexing this foot a little. Okay, a lot of people will appreciate having a pillow underneath the right side so that you can try to have your hips feeling level. Okay? You might also like some pillows for your elbows or your chest to rest on. Okay, you'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, you'll go forward and down into this position, and we'll be here for several minutes. So please take a moment, find your place in the pose. If there's any issue with your knee, go ahead and lay down on your back and take the alternative position. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves into a resting swan. So it's very possible that you'll feel a lot of sensation in this pose, so long as it's not a dangerous burning feeling in the knee. It's most likely just a long, deep stretch. Please see if you can stay calm and relaxed as you soften your jaw, soften your shoulders, and continue to breathe deeply. We'll spend the last minute here in this pose. Again, you can feel free to leave early. Otherwise, focusing on your exhales for a bit and just seeing if it's possible to soften, to let go, to relax some of the tension every time you exhale. Begin to really slowly ease back up onto your hands. Just space your hands out for another down dog, which hopefully feels good. If it doesn't, take any pose that feels good to you. Ooh. And move and shake that out, wiggle that out a little bit. Absolutely quite sensational to hold a hip opening position for that length of time. So it's very possible that that could work for you on one side, but maybe because of a knee issue or injury on the other side, you need to lay down onto your back. And again, take that alternative pose, just crossing that ankle over the knee as you lay down. Bring the leg in until you feel it. Okay, otherwise, we'll be going to pigeon pose. Well, it's pigeon in our active forms of yoga, but in yin yoga, we call it swan. So you'll slide your knee forward. We give the poses different names in yin yoga so that you consider them a bit differently. Okay? So make it a little bit more passive, possibly slipping a pillow underneath this side. Okay? Maybe pillows for out in front. And again, just nice and slowly, you'll ease down into this pose and we'll stay. So find your place. And before we go any further in this pose, just assess what it is that you're feeling. Make sure there's no pain or danger in the knee. If it's a little bit too intense and you can't stay relaxed, you're going to need to back up a little bit. Don't go down quite so far. Maybe bring your foot in a little bit closer to your body. Otherwise, continue to soften and relax every time you exhale. Just take a quick moment to check to see that you're softening and not tensing. Relaxing your jaw. Just allow the tongue to be heavy in your mouth. Shoulders are as relaxed as possible. And just continue to soften, continue to breathe. Let's start to slowly ease ourselves up from this position. Again, you want to space your hands out for down dog or any other place that feels comfortable for you after that. Take some movement. And you just lower your knees to the floor. And just find a way to sit comfortably. We'll stretch the legs out in front. And you may need to reach for your pillows once again. We're going to set up for caterpillar pose, which is a very passive folding forward. If you find it's difficult for you to sit up straight, and your hips roll you back a little bit, you may need to sit your bum up onto a pillow. I like to put a pillow under my knees to ensure that I'm being really passive. Okay, allow your legs to be where they'd like to be. And so long as you don't have medical issues with the discs in your spine, please feel free to be quite rounded and a bit floppy in this position. I really like to support my forehead onto something, possibly pillows here, just to lay your chest on. Find a way to passively fold yourself forward. So just take a moment to listen to the body and let any adjustments happen that need to be made. The feet can go wherever they like. The hands just simply fall down and relax. There's a lot of tension and tightness in the neck and upper back. Trying to look for a way to prop your head up so that you can, the pillow can support your head so that you can really just focus on every exhale, letting go of that tension. Very soft, very passive. You never want to push or pull in yin yoga. If at some point you'd like to deepen this sensation, you literally allow yourself to soften and to melt a little deeper into the pose. You're going to start to slowly leave this position as you just keep your chin to your chest and begin to round yourself back up. Once you're sitting all the way up, it will likely feel good to go in the opposite direction for a moment. I like tabletop after that position with the feet to the floor and the hands behind me. I just lift up the hips. If it feels good, your head can tip back. You just hold that as little or as long as you like, and then lower right back down. Or any other movement that feels good to you. We'll go into one more passive folding forward, but this time we'll open our legs up nice and wide. Okay, again, you can continue to sit on the pillow if the hips are rolling you back. And if this is kind of a tight space for you, you also have the option of putting your feet to the floor, having your knees up, and as you come forward, I think you'll likely get enough from that position. Again, I like to have pillows underneath my knees in this position. You could prefer to put them out in front of you. Again, explore your pose, find your place. Whenever you're ready, take a big exhale and passively fold forward. Legs can be wherever they like. Hands are just resting. And as always, please relax the neck. Before we go any further, if something doesn't feel quite right, if it's not how you'd like it, make an adjustment. For the next little time that we spend here, just breathing so deeply that it requires your attention. Very calm, very steady. Mentally and physically very relaxed. Try not to strain or struggle with the pose. Go only so far or so deep in a position that you can surrender to the pose. Really softening your tissues, softening the muscles. Okay, we can start to slowly ease up from this position. Take your time. Could feel good to put your hands back behind you and lift up the feet. Bring the feet to the floor. Walk your hands as close together as you can so you can feel this in your shoulders. You'll lift your heart up a little bit. And if it feels good, just let the knees drop over to one side. And slowly over to the other. So we get to go into laying down after that. It should feel kind of nice. So check where you are in your space. Get yourself comfortable and lay down. Oh, we come now to one of my favorite positions. It's quite simple, but it can really have a lot of sensation, at least for my body. So this is a banana pose. I'm kind of sliding my hips all the way over to the right side of the mat right now. And then I'll use my elbows to lift my upper body. And then I'm going to slide it over towards the left side. Okay. When I get over there, my shoulders, my back, everything's flat down to the floor. Okay. It's not a twist, it's an angle. From here, I take both of my legs over towards the left side of my mat as well. And I'll start to feel this stretch all along the right side of my body. Okay, my hips and bum, they're all flat to the floor. I'm going to reach my hands over my head and hold on to the wrists or possibly the elbows. And just take a moment to assess what you're feeling. And if you decide you'd like a little bit more, I could cross my right ankle over my left. Or I can kind of continue to deepen this banana shape that I've made with the body. I'm going to take just a moment and decide that I've got my place, that's where I'm going to temporarily be. I'm going to close my eyes and just enjoy this pose for a while. I really love how I can feel the breath moving throughout this pose. It really helps me to keep my attention both to the breath and to the sensations in the body. Stay in this pose about 1 more minute. The sensation becomes too much that you can't stay relaxed. Just back up a little bit. Begin to move really slowly. If you have the feet crossed, uncross those first. And then just slowly bring your lower body back to the center. Ooh, bring your upper body back to the center. Let's just take a little pause. Just laying down for a moment, simply noticing one side of the body from the other side. Very simply, we'll just repeat that same pose on the other side. So that means I'm just starting to slide my hips now over towards the left side of my mat. I'm going to use my elbows to slide my upper body over towards the right side of my mat. And then I just lay everything down nice and flat. And both of my legs move over together, so I start to make this banana shape. I instantly feel that all along the left side of my body. My bum and hips are flat to the floor, and then I'll reach my arms over my head, holding the wrist, maybe the elbows. And if you'd still like a little bit more from that, cross your left ankle over your right ankle. Let's just take a few minutes here to really explore this area of the body, finding where we need to touch, and as ever, touching it very gently. Please notice that the teeth are soft, this tongue is soft in the mouth. There's no squeezing or tensing. It's just the feeling that we're massaging this area of the body with the breath. Let's start to relieve this pose by uncrossing the feet if they are, and just bringing your body back to the center. So after that, it feels very good to me to just bring both of my knees into the chest, giving them a little hug and just rocking a little bit from left to right. We're preparing now for Savasana pose, our final relaxation. So just start to get your upper back and shoulders flat to the floor, comfortable. Whenever you like, straighten your legs. If your lower back feels a little uncomfortable when you do that, you can put some pillows under the knees. Just keep taking some small adjustments until the back feels really comfortable. And I'll notice the feet and open them up wider than the hips. Maybe shake or wiggle them for a moment. At some point, I'll just allow the feet to roll open and the lower body to completely relax. Imagine that your shoulders could just melt to the floor. Try to relax all of the fingers as well. Become aware of the muscles throughout your face so that you can just be very aware when they're soft and relaxed as you part your teeth. You smooth the skin of your forehead. You allow your eyes to sink back a bit deep and heavy. We'll stay in this pose again for several minutes, so please just relax and enjoy the moment. You can just choose to stay in this pose for as long as you like, for as much time as you have. When you're ready to move on, just wiggle the fingers and the toes slowly. Maybe take a big stretch if it feels nice. And then roll over to the right side of the body. Whenever you like, you're going to push yourself up to the same seated position that we began. Just take a moment to sit up nice and tall, rest the hands. Maybe keep the eyes closed for 1 minute longer. From here, I like to bring the palms of the hands together in front of the heart. And as always, I like to close practice with the feeling of gratitude. Knowing that we can take active steps in choosing our happiness. And the feeling of gratitude can directly cause us more happiness. So spend just a moment trying to create that feeling. It should be a sweet feeling, so take a big inhale and soak it up. You begin to move your hands together until they start to feel a little hot. Whenever they do, place your hands over your eyes and open your eyes inside. Take a big breath from the nose and blow out of the mouth. Do that as much as you need to. So you can prepare yourself to open up the hands, open up the eyes to what I hope is a feeling of peace and calm and comfort, mobility in your body. And it's a rainy morning here in Koh Lanta, Thailand, and I can't think of anything that I would rather do than share this yin practice with you today. So thank you very much for the honor and the pleasure of allowing me to lead you. And as always, namaste. Get over here and open up my heart chakra. You kind of like the raining day, don't you? Savasana is always better with the friends.